Oh, this is straight government everywhere. Okay, watch. This case came back up. I've been talking about it actually, and the Alabama inmate one who raped and tortured fellow prisoner to death days before release had nine, not one, not two, nine, and that's the only ones that are reported, right? Nine. So to tell me that everybody on planet Earth has not been raped in some way by somebody is a liar. Okay, because each individual has done these things multiple times. So you're talking about a guy, a single guy, nine. So they knew, right? So this is where we're talking about their behaviors and how Harvard is totally for this kind of crap. I did a whole other thing on it. Well, I have to go through it, and it's like literally 3 hours almost long, and I'm trying my best to try to cut it down, but it may not be able to, not by that much. I had to read all the idiotic Harvard students, glorifying this white socio rapist and this. Oh, it was too much. It's like what you would expect, but then, yeah, higher education. Higher as in crack pipe. They were actually smoking a pipe. They said they were smoking, they had a smoking thing on a Zoom call. I don't know what the hell. Mm-mm. He dies and someone posts that crap or he didn't die, but he faked his death. Did they post that crap? I was like, oh, this is too good. All these comments are just too much. They're over the top. They're male glorification like you've never read before on anybody's death certificate. You know what I mean? Like on their eulogies I mean, it was so vomitous that I had to go through each and every one of them. So it made it really long. Okay, I don't want to make this one really long. Okay, so choices were made over and over again to take no investigative or corrective action in numerous cases of sexual assault. Are we shocked? Are we shocked? I mean, I don't know. When you continually call everybody a liar, that means, you know what that means? That means we're not doing shit, right? So, that would include on other men, right? Yeah, you guys are so smart. Okay, so this is, and plus they're promoting this too. They're like, I hope you get raped in jail. They're doing this crap. So, the additional promotions of this is not good because basically the people they hire to be the fucking, prisoner guards and everybody are those guys. Those same guys are like, yeah, I hope you get raped up in here and I'm going to sit here and watch it. That's them, right? Or they'll join in, right? So they knew about all this, right? This is government as a whole. It's not just this case, but it's government as a whole. So when you view this properly, you should start to really understand this. I don't know. Women seem to have, my thing with this is not that men don't understand because they do and they use every line under the book, in the book that they created to get away with this shit. But women, for some reason, believe the lies. And we all can get duped by this. It's not like we all haven't. It's just that when they start doing this bullshit that everybody's a liar, don't buy it. Don't buy it. Because this is them going, oh. And then they come out. The thing that's really irking me about it is these fake pro-rapist guys that come out and they go, this is the worst crime ever. And then this is what they do, right? This is really how they act, right? So it's really this. And so then they knew about it in the prison thing. They've been promoting it in the prison thing. And then they feel like because they're garbage that they should get raped in jail and prison and whatever and just let it happen, right? And then they let them kill themselves in jail and prison because they don't care, right? And it really matters for victims too, because we want to, when you're trying to go through cases and you want to go through the court system and people be held accountable, the last thing you want is some garbage like that. You really don't. It's actually not a good thing, and it actually solves nothing. Okay? So, but there's other people that are glorifying that action, and it really messed up one of my cases here. I mean, we still can pursue a lot of things in that thing, but I'm just saying that's not something that we wanted to happen. And we have Republicans fake crusading, wanting to put all these people to death. This is ridiculous. So, this is just part of the whole thing. It's fake. They're not against any of it. They never have been. Historically, they haven't been. They're not today either. So, and none of them have really been busted, as you see, right? So even in prison, it's like, okay, if a guy's in prison and he's a serial rapist and you know at some point you're going to let him out and you don't even bust him here, I mean, what are you asking for? Oh, to use us as your pawn so he could go rape a whole bunch of men and women. I'm sure that guy doesn't have a particular preference. It's just like whatever was in our face here because we only have men in prison. So this is a major issue. This case is so horrible. Like, it's just, and it gets worse by the minute, right? Because I just did a thing on it. Then they released more information on it. And then now it's just like, oh yeah, they knew and they just sat back and let it happen. It's just like, yeah, of course they did. And then, because I was asking, I'm like, how does that even happen in a prison? How did they end up together? And apparently at this particular thing, they have sort of a open, I don't know, some type of, I don't know, it's kind of set up a little differently. And then okay, where does it go? They've been reported 9 previous physical assault, sexual assaults, but was still allowed to live in the general prison population according to new reports. Okay, well, no rapist should ever. I mean, really, I mean, you're just asking for problems here because they're rapists, right? I was like, they're rapists. They're not going to ask for your consent. But you know who else is the problem is the people that knew, and they're also rapists because you cannot not be a rapist and sit there and be like, just let it go on, No, you're a rapist too. So, I mean, there's a bunch of rapists in the story, really. So, the prisoner inmate Daniel's family learned that he was in the hospital on the 25th, just weeks before 22-year-old was scheduled to be released, right? So then he was the father of 2 children and he died on November 9th. And his family took him off life support. So, as his loved ones continue to search for answers in the version of events, the prison emerged. Okay, from the prisons emerged. Okay, so William's family now believes he was kidnapped within the prison and badly beaten until he died. Thank you for throwing kidnapped in there. We need to use the term more because, as I just said, kidnapping is actually correlated with rapist because it's an action that somebody's taking you against your will and they ignore your consent. And those are the type of people that are rapists. Even though I was throwing in the moral crusade thing, those people, like, if you didn't, like, there was a whole thing with that. I was like, yeah, if we continued doing this as adults and, and didn't care about other people's consent, then we would, you could typically turn that into, we're going to harm you in some way, even though, the MO. Okay, so my thing about it was the MO doesn't matter why you do it. It's the fact that you do something against somebody's will and you don't care, right? That thing. Even though you may think in your mind, oh, I'm doing this to like save somebody from something, right? So regardless of what the MO is, that action right there is a big no. And luckily in our stuff, it wasn't a continuation of us like doing these like moral crusades trying to save somebody from something against their will. It turned into later though a thing where people asked me to come and save them from, a cult or whatever that happened. And so then I was like totally fine with doing that. I was like, I'll take you out of there, fine. But there was none of this, I'm gonna force you out of it and just kidnap you out of it. It wasn't that. So it, but luckily that story was much younger. But that's kind of the area where like people don't give a crap and then they just do it. And then regardless of what the MO is, okay? Regardless of what the MO is, but yes, it is correlated with being a rapist. Totally. And I've had men, like these men, like I said, at my work, they were trying to kidnap me to some guy's house. I'm like, did anybody ask me if I want to move in with that guy at all? Nobody did. And the fact that 2 men could sit there and have this conversation to move me in somewhere where I would never want to live or just ask me, you know what I mean? The reason why I wouldn't want to move in over there is because they're related to my perpetrator's pal circle, and he's also seeing a girl at my work that I knew. So why would I go move in with her man? Like, oh, yeah, that'll be great. She's gonna be real happy with that. You know what I mean? That thing was going on. And I go, nobody even asked me. And I'm looking for another place. There was a whole other thing going on here. And I go, who died and made you to God and that you're going to dictate my life? Like the arrogance in that, right? The whole thing about it. So they didn't care. So those two are rapists. They don't care. And the other guy totally was. It's just crazy, dude. Because he believes that he could tell women what to do and then he just does stuff against their will instead of like the consensual variation of all that. Anyways, I don't even want to get into all that because I'm so annoyed right now. Now I got the gardener. Okay, wait. Whoa. Okay, Carla Crowder, executive director of the legal advocacy nonprofit Alabama Appleseed, appeared before the Alabama Prison Oversight Committee to discuss the man suspected of orchestrating the attack on Williams. The 38-year-old suspect in the kidnapping, rape, and torture was involved in 9 instances of sexual assault, rape, and stabbing. Stabbing. Do you see? There's not a gun. Stabbing. Since 2017. Oh, God. We don't even know the earlier parts of his life, right? Okay, so then it says, while incarcerated. That's just incarcerated, okay? You guys don't know what the hell that fool did before any of this. There is no documentation that he was placed in segregation for any of these assaults. Among these accusations leveled at the unidentified inmate are that he participated in a prison gang rape, threatened to kill an inmate, sexually assaulted several other people, and chased a man through the prison, harassing him daily for sex. Wow. What the hell? In October, a prison warden signed off on the inmate being placed in an open bay dorm. Yeah, it was an open bay dorm. I was like, yeah, I don't know what the hell. It was some different thing, right? 9 days later, 22-year-old Daniel Williams was found, according unresponsive on this inmate's assigned bed. Yeah, on his bed. And there were multiple instances of the inmate being plausibly accused of stabbing other inmates. He was eventually convicted for one of the instances, but it was 8 years after that event took place that little effort was made to keep him from roaming the prison. Okay, so then the inmate had 18 disciplinary charges between 2012 and 2018, but at the time Williams' death, it had been years since he faced any kind of formal charge that would obstruct his access to others. Even after Williams was declared dead, the inmate was not formally charged with any misconduct. Wow. Rather, the guards recorded the incident as an enemy's report. Something listed as an impersonal conflict between... Oh! See, I told you. Law enforcement always turns sexual violent crimes, like gender-based violent crimes or any of these other type of crimes like that, they go dispute. Does that not sound like something where they're saying dispute? Kind of that thing, right? They've been doing this, so all the data is wrong, right? So I started investigating this, right? Because I know in my cases, I was like, there was no dispute. I was literally asleep and I woke up and I was locked in the back of a house and I had to jump over a fence. So to call that a dispute, with who? You know what I mean? Like, I wake up and somebody does a hate crime on me or something. You know what I mean? Trying to lock me up in a house. False imprisonment, right? And I'm lucky I was able to jump the fence because it was a really tall, like one of the really tall ones. And I'm lucky that there was some wired thing on it to where I could jump it over because they put a lock on it. So I would have been locked in someone's backyard because they locked me out from the front part of the house. So I was like, and they did it on purpose. It was like this whole other thing. And I go, but then the time that they locked me in the other house was because I was rescuing kids, right? And then the guy was high on drugs. And so then they put some other bullshit. And then what was the other case? Okay, so then some guy again, another false imprisonment dispute. Okay, then a guy was in my bedroom and choked me. They put dispute. And I'm like, "What the fuck?" And I didn't even know they did it, right? Like I got their cards at the time of the cases and I didn't even bother to like read what they wrote on the back. It was just like I got their cards in case, I want to go, do some bullshit with it. And so then when I were doing the investigation, they're like, "Do you have all that information?" And so I went through all my stuff, and I'm like, "I don't think this card is for that because it wasn't a dispute; it was an assault." And then it said dispute, and then I started noticing the word dispute was put on multiple things. it turned into that. I wasn't even aware of it when it happened. I just knew that their conduct was foul when they came, but I didn't know they wrote that kind of bullshit on there. I didn't. I don't know. I saved it all because I get their cards, I put it away, and then yeah. So they've been putting dispute when a guy tries to rape you. They've been putting dispute when a guy is choking you. They put dispute over anything. So when a guy wants to date you and you say no, it's a dispute, dude. It's a total dispute. Okay? It's a dispute, ladies. You better know it. You're supposed to say yes and you're supposed to go along with it so you don't get harmed, okay? So then it says a interpersonal conflict between inmates. Like it was a conflict. Yeah, dispute. Instead of an assault. Thank you. That's what I've been saying though. That's what I've been going after. And it just so annoys me. I go, because they're all doing it. Like they're doing it in prison too. So I'm like, holy shit. Yes. Yes. They're like, you didn't want to have sex with them, so it's a dispute. So he had to kill you. He had to rape and kill you. Okay, this was also true for some of the previous sexual assaults he's been accused of. Yeah, I'm telling you, this is what I've been saying. How long has it been? 20 years. Okay. ADOC staff received numerous reports of rampant sexual violence against another incarcerated men, but failed to take disciplinary measures that would have resulted in the suspect being placed in segregation. And he also should never be let out, because some of these guys are getting let out. Like, you want to get them more time, right? Or you not let out at all, because now he's being a serial rapist, right? And he was a serial rapist before, I'm sure, but like that's a new crime, right? That's a new serial rapist crime. Like, it doesn't matter who it's on, right? So then they should be through the system again, through new people they raped, right? Like this whole other thing, right? It shouldn't be a thing where they just get disciplined. They need to actually go to court and get in trouble for actual rape crimes, right? So then he should be subjected again. I mean, what the hell? Okay, so then they go, yeah, not just segregation. He needs to be charged with rape. And what's the rape charges on those? Some of those can be like 20 years. It depends. You know what I mean? So it's like like they need additions. Like, you know, the dude never should get out and he should be thrown in somewhere else, you know, secluded. Okay, so William's death could have been prevented by the state of Alabama. Instead, choices were made over and over again to take no investigations or corrective actions in numerous cases of sexual assault in 5 different prisons. Okay, so I want women to think about this in the overall perspective of, say, California, where California knew and did the same exact thing throughout each police department when we reported this conduct, right? So think of it in this way. So choices were made over and over again to take no investigative or corrective actions in numerous cases of sexual assault, right? So then what it did was it opened up this door for men to go raping everybody, and then they did it in front of their faces too, and they were involved in it. And so then we already reported, like I've been stressing, I go, why? It's not up to me to go re-report a crime that I already reported. So if I go in and I tell them such and such happened, then it's, why is it on me where they're saying you need to go in and report again or something? I go, no, I already reported it at the time of the crime. And so the officers that sat there and did nothing should be the ones arrested, right? And they need to reopen the cases and investigate those things. And then another thing that had happened was one of the cases was sent to the human trafficking organization. And because it consists of getting a kid across the state, right? Which would fit more onto their bullshit, and it would still should be have forwarded to an investigator to contact me, right? Because they did on the other portion of it. And instead, what they wanted to do is get it out of their hands, which was the first time I've ever had that happen beyond the sheriffs not wanting to take any report at all. They were just upfront that they won't take any report on their officers at all. And so on this one, they got it and then wanted to rid of it. Like they didn't want it in their hands. They said, take it somewhere else. And I was like, wow, no, actually it would fit in here. If government has a different definition of human trafficking, then their definition is wrong and they're trying to cover up. And this is just another variation of them doing that. And they're pro it and they're not against it. And they're for raping kids. Yes. And kidnapping kids and doing that stuff. and they want to protect celebrities. So this is their constant promotion of it, where the politicians are literally trying to stay in power to make it legal, but then when they're talking to you, they're telling you a different version. Okay, they're telling you a different story, but what they're actually doing is like, but the actual doing is this conduct right here. So the more that they can stand and stay in place in the power position that they are, they can control this narrative and make sure it's legal and that no one goes to jail as much as they can stop it, okay? And then here it's, and this guy, okay, let's also look at this case like this. The prisoner that's in here raping everybody, is he a Harvey Weinstein? Is he a rich guy? Is he a powerful rich guy? No, right? So it doesn't really have to do anything with that. It's the overall mindset about them being a bunch of goddamn rapists and they're for it and they enjoy other people getting harmed. That was the thing, because the officers were enjoying me getting hurt when they came on scene and were laughing about it multiple times. So it wasn't a thing like, oh God, we feel really bad for this girl getting choked, you know? It's like, what the fuck? And, you know, and they're just like, the dude's just drug. I'm like, are you kidding? Yeah, I'd never seen this crap before because the guy's totally white, right? And he's in a condo, and they're like, oh, you know, he's not this like black guy on the street running around, you know, that they hate. But that guy is not famous. That guy's not famous. And he also lied about what his job was to the law enforcement while there. So, no. And he lied what he was trying to do and prey on me. So that was the other thing. And I go, yeah, he was trying to get me to go out of town. And I said no. And then somehow he came back and then he was in my bedroom when I walked in the house. They put dispute. You know what I mean? Like, this is the shit. It's not just Alabama. I'm just telling you. Really look at this case and think about it in the overall thing of your state. But here we know California, okay? California is acting in this manner too, overall in the entire state, not just in a prison, but in the entire state. Because my cases are extended from out here in Southern California all the way to Northern California.